The morning shift on Kepler Station was always quiet. Trade ships came and went with their usual cargo. Merchants from different worlds made their deals in the main hub. Everything was peaceful and normal. Quelix adjusted his long blue fingers on the control panel. As the station's traffic controller, he had seen thousands of ships arrive over the years. Most followed the same pattern. They would send a message first. They would ask for permission to dock. They would wait for approval. It was the way things worked in civilized space. The alarm made him jump. His four eyes widened as he stared at the screens. Something big was coming out of faster-than-light travel. Very big. Unknown vessel detected. The computer said in its calm voice. Mass signature indicates Warship class. No identification beacon active. Quelix's hands shook as he tried to get a clear reading. The ship was massive, bigger than anything he had ever seen in this peaceful system. Its dark hull reflected the light from Kepler's star. Weapon ports lined its sides like teeth in a giant mouth. Attention, unknown vessel. Quelix spoke into the communicator. His voice cracked a little. This is Kepler Station Traffic Control. Please identify yourself and state your business. Silence. On the other side of the station, Thex 9 was already moving. The Corvin defense coordinator had sharp reflexes and an even sharper temper. His red scales shifted color as his anger grew. No one entered Corvin protected space without permission. No one. Battle stations. Thex 9 ordered a small fleet, 3 patrol ships and 1 light cruiser. It was not much, but it was all they had. Unknown Warship, you are in violation of galactic law. Identify yourself immediately or face the consequences. The human ship said nothing. It just hung there in space like a sleeping giant. Captain Jake Mitchell sat in a command chair aboard the UES Dakota. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. The bridge was dark except for the blue glow computer screens. No fancy lights or decorations. Just function over form. Captain, said Commander Alex Turner from the tactical station, local defense forces are moving to intercept. 3 light patrol vessels and 1 cruiser. Their weapons are powered but not locked on. Any word from the station? Mitchell asked. His voice was calm and steady. Multiple hail attempts, sir. They want us to identify ourselves. Mitchell nodded slowly. He was a big man with gray hair and tired eyes. Years of military service had taught him when to talk and when to stay quiet. Right now, quiet was better. Dr. Williams, are you getting anything useful from their communications? Dr. Kate Williams looked up from her console. She was a ship's expert on alien species and languages. Her computer was already working on translating the alien chatter. The station controller is nervous, she said. Very nervous. The defense coordinator is angry. They are not used to ships like ours showing up without warning. Good, Mitchell said. Let them wonder for a bit longer. On Kepler Station, more aliens were gathering in the main observation deck. Word had spread quickly about the mysterious warship. Traders from dozens of species pressed against the windows to get a better look. Look at the size of that thing, whispered a tall vegan merchant. What kind of weapons do you think it carries? Nothing good, replied his short, furry companion. I have never seen hull plating like that. It looks like it was built for war, not trade. A group of Zenthri diplomats huddled together, speaking in low tones. They had heard rumors about humans, stories from the outer colonies, tales of a new species that did things differently, very differently. The humans do not follow standard protocol, one of them said. They act first and ask questions later. Surely that is just gossip, another replied. All civilized species follow galactic law. Do they look civilized to you? Back on the Dakota, Mitchell finally decided it was time to talk. He stood up from his chair and walked to the communications console. Open a channel, he ordered. The main screen flickered to life. Quelix appeared, his blue face showing clear signs of stress. Behind him, other aliens moved around frantically. This is Captain Jake Mitchell of the United Earthship Dakota, Mitchell said. His voice was calm but firm. We are here for our people. Quelix blinked all 4 eyes at once. Captain Mitchell, welcome to the Kepler system. I am Traffic Controller Quelix. You did not request permission to enter our space. This is highly unusual. May I ask what people you're referring to? Before Mitchell could answer, another voice cut in. Thex, 9 appeared on a second screen, his red scales now bright with anger. Human vessel, you will explain your presence here immediately. This system is under protection of the Corvan Defense Force and the Galactic Commerce Council. You have no authority here. Mitchell looked at both aliens for a moment. Then he spoke in the same calm tone. 847 human civilians are being held prisoner on Kepler 442c. They were taken from their legal mining operation 3 days ago. We are here to get them back. The two aliens looked at each other through their screens. Quelix spoke first. Captain Mitchell, I am afraid there has been some mistake. The hegemony of Strix now controls the mining rights to Kepler 442c. Any human presence there would be illegal. The Strix bought those rights from the Commerce Council last month. Dex 9 added, your people were trespassing on Strix territory. Mitchell's expression did not change. Those mining rights belong to the Colonial Development Corporation, a human company, with valid permits issued by the previous government. The Commerce Council had no right to sell what was not theirs. Be that as it may, Quelix said nervously, this is now a matter for courts. There are proper channels for these disputes, legal procedures that must be followed. How long do legal procedures take? Mitchell asked. Well, typically 6 to 8 months for filing. Then there's the investigation period. After that, hearings and appeals. Perhaps 2 to 3 years total. Mitchell nodded slowly. 2 to 3 years. While our people sit in Strix prison camps. The Strix assure us that all prisoners are being treated according to galactic law. Thex 9 said, I am sure they do. Mitchell paused for a moment. Here is what is going to happen. You are going to contact the Strix. You are going to tell them to release our people. You are going to arrange transportation to bring them to our ship. And if we refuse? Thex 9 asked, his scales turning an even brighter red. Mitchell smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. We did not ask permission to come here. We will not ask permission to take our people home. The screens went dark as Mitchell cut the communication. Around the bridge, his crew continued their work as if nothing had happened. But every one of them was ready for what might come next. In space, the Dakota hung motionless, waiting, watching, a sleeping giant that had just opened one eye. The next morning brought more ships, not human ships. Strix vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. 5 battlecruisers and a dozen smaller escort ships. They moved in perfect formation toward Kepler Station. Captain Mitchell stood in his ready room, reading reports on a tablet. The door chimed and Commander Turner entered. Captain, Strix fleet has arrived. They are demanding we leave the system immediately. What did you tell them? Mitchell asked without looking up. Nothing, sir. Thought you might want to handle this yourself. Mitchell nodded and set down his tablet. Any word from our people on the surface? Dr. Williams has been monitoring Strix communications. The prisoners are being held in 3 separate facilities on Kepler 442c. All adults are in work camps. Children and elderly are in what the Strix call protective custody. Mitchell's jaw tightened. How many children? 112, sir. Ages 3 to 16. And the Commerce Council? Still insisting this is a legal matter that requires proper procedures. Mitchell walked his window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human families were sitting in alien prison camps, waiting for help that might never come through legal channels. Sir, Turner said after a moment of silence, have Dr. Williams meet me on the bridge. It is time we had a longer conversation with our new friends. The main bridge was busy when Mitchell arrived. Officers moved between stations, checking systems and updating displays. Dr. Williams was already waiting at the communications console. Captain, she said, I have been studying Strix culture and government structure. They are a military empire built on strict hierarchy. They respect strength, but only if it is demonstrated properly. And the Commerce Council? Traders first, diplomats second. They will avoid conflict at almost any cost. Right now, they are probably hoping we will just leave quietly. Mitchell took his seat in the command chair. Open a channel to both the Strix fleet and Kepler station. All parties. The main screen split into sections. Admiral Keth Prime of the Strix fleet appeared on one side. His species looked like walking lizards with too many teeth. Quelix and Thex. 9 shared the other half of the screen. I am Admiral Keth Prime of the glorious Strix Navy, the lizard-like alien announced. You will remove your vessel from this system immediately or face the consequences. Consequences. Mitchell repeated slowly. What kind of consequences? Your ship will be destroyed and your crew taken prisoner. This is Strix territory now. Actually, Quelix interrupted nervously, this is Commerce Council space. The Strix have mining rights to Kepler, 442C only. Keth Prime turned his head to glare at the blue alien. Silence, merchant. When the Strix speak, others listen. Mitchell watched this exchange with interest. Dr. Williams, would you please explain our position to these gentlemen? Kate Williams stepped forward. She had spent hours preparing for this moment. Her voice was calm and professional. 3 months ago, the Commerce Council sold mining rights to Kepler, 442C to the hegemony of Strix. However, those rights were already owned by the Colonial Development Corporation under permits issued by the Kepler Planetary Assembly. When the Assembly was dissolved, those permits remained valid under Galactic Law Section 47A. Legal nonsense, Keth Prime snapped. Might makes right. We have the system now. Furthermore, Williams continued, the Commerce Council failed to notify existing permit holders of the sale. This violates Trade Agreement 445B, which requires 60 days' notice for all right transfers. Quelix looked uncomfortable. Well, yes, there may have been some procedural errors, but... The point is, Williams said, the sale was illegal. The human miners were operating with valid permits. Taking them prisoner was an act of war. War. Thex 9 spoke up. Surely you do not mean actual war. There are proper channels for these disputes. Mitchell stood up from his chair. How long have our people been in Strix custody? 3 days, Williams answered. How long do your proper channels take? Quelix shifted nervously. As I mentioned yesterday, typically 2 to 3 years for complete resolution. 2 to 3 years. Mitchell let that hang in the air for a moment. Admiral Keth Prime, what are the conditions in your prison camps? The Strix commander smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Adequate. Prisoners work 12 hours per day. They receive basic nutrition and shelter. Those who work hard are treated well. Those who cause trouble are dealt with harshly. And the children? Children do not work. They attend education classes to learn proper behavior. Mitchell felt something cold settle in his stomach. What kind of education? They learn to be useful citizens of the Strix Empire. Language, culture, proper respect for authority. Dr. Williams touched Mitchell's arm gently. She had seen that look before. Captain. Mitchell nodded to her, then looked back at the screen. Here is what is going to happen. You have 6 hours to release all human prisoners and transport them to our ship. Impossible, Keth Prime said immediately. They are criminals now. They will serve their sentences. What sentences? Turner asked from his station. 5 years labor for the adults. The children will remain until they complete their education. Perhaps 10 to 15 years. The bridge went very quiet. Even the normal sounds of computer systems seemed muted. Mitchell spoke in the same calm voice he had used all along. Admiral, I want to make sure I understand correctly. You are planning to keep human children for 10 to 15 years, to teach them to be Strix citizens. Correct. It is quite generous, actually. Usually we simply eliminate problem populations. I see. Mitchell walked closer to the screen. And there is no way to change your mind about this? None. Strix law is absolute. Mitchell nodded slowly. Then he turned to Quelix and Thex 9. What about you? Will the Commerce Council help negotiate their release? Quelix looked miserable. Captain Mitchell, we sympathize with your situation. but we cannot interfere with Shriek's internal affairs. It would set a dangerous precedent. A precedent? Yes. If we helped every species that had disputes with the Shrieks, it would cause chaos. We must remain neutral. Neutral. Mitchell repeated the word like it tasted bad. While human children are being reprogrammed by an alien military empire. I am sorry, Quellic said, but that is galactic law. Mitchell looked at each alien face on the screen. Then he smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Gentlemen, I appreciate your positions. I understand your laws and procedures. But I have news for you. Humanity does not recognize the authority of either the Commerce Council or the Shriek's Empire over human citizens. You have no choice, Keth Prime snarled. You are one ship against my fleet. One ship, Mitchell agreed. For now. He gestured to Turner, who pressed several buttons on his console. The tactical display changed to show new contacts at the edge of the system. I would like you to meet the rest of Task Force 7. The U.S. Montana, Nevada, and Liberty have just arrived. On the screen, the aliens stared in shock as 3 more human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The Liberty was twice the size of the others, clearly a carrier vessel. Admiral Keth Prime, Mitchell continued, you now have 6 hours to release our people. After that, we will come get them ourselves. You dare threaten the Shriek's Empire? No threat, Admiral. Just a promise. We came here to bring our people home. One way or another. That is exactly what we're going to do. Mitchell gestured again, and the communication ended. The bridge returned to normal activity. But there was a new tension in the air. Everyone knew what might happen next. Captain, Williams said quietly, the Shrieks have never backed down from a fight. I know, Mitchell replied. Neither have we. For hours remained on the deadline when Admiral Keth Prime sent his response. The message was short and simple. The Shriek's Empire does not negotiate with terrorists. Captain Mitchell read the message twice, then deleted it. He walked to the tactical console, where Commander Turner was studying fleet positions. Alex, what do you think of their formation? Turner pointed at the display. Classic Shriek's battle line. Heavy cruisers in front, escorts on the flanks. They are trying to look impressive. And our assessment of their capabilities? Their weapons are powerful but slow to recharge. Armor is thick but not adaptive. They fight like they did 200 years ago. Honor and tradition over tactics. Mitchell nodded. The Shrieks were dangerous, but predictable. Dr. Williams, how much do other species know about human military technology? Kate Williams looked up from her research console. Very little. Most of what they have seen came from our exploration ships and trade vessels. Lightly armed, built for science and commerce. They have never seen a real warship? No, sir. The Dakota and her sister ships are the first human warships to operate in this part of space. Mitchell made his decision. All right, time to give them a demonstration. Something they can share with their friends back home. He activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to conduct combat readiness exercises. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. The Dakota came alive around them. Blast doors sealed automatically. Weapon systems powered up. The lights dimmed to combat levels, bathing everything in red light. Turner, target those asteroids in Grid 7. Sir, there are 17 asteroids in that grid. All of them. I want a demonstration of our point defense system. Turner smiled. Aye, Captain. Programming targets now. The main screen switched to external view. In the distance, a field of space rocks drifted slowly through the void. Some were as big as houses. Others were just chunks of metal and stone. Fire when ready. The Dakota's close-in weapon systems opened fire. Streams of energy and metal reached out across space. The asteroid began to disappear, not exploding dramatically like in the movies, just quietly turning into dust and gas. On Kepler Station, every alien with access to a scanner was watching. The precision was incredible. Each asteroid was hit exactly where it needed to be hit. No wasted shots. No missed targets. Impressive, Quelix whispered to his assistant. Very impressive. In the Shrik's fleet, Admiral Keth Prime watched with growing concern. How many weapons does that ship have? At least 40-point defense systems, Admiral, his tactical officer reported. All computer-controlled. All firing independently. What about our fighters? Could they get through that kind of defense? The tactical officer was quiet for a moment. Probably not, sir. Mitchell was just getting started. Alex, show them our adaptive armor. The Dakota's hull began to change. Plates shifted and moved. Hidden weapon ports opened. The ship transformed from a simple warship into something that looked like a technological monster. Now launch the fighters. Full squadron. Hangar bays opened along the Dakota's sides. 48 fighters poured out like angry insects. They moved in patterns that made no sense to the watching aliens. Spinning, diving, turning in impossible directions. Lieutenant Ryan Scott led the squadron in a series of maneuvers that no Shrik's pilot could have attempted. Human fighters were smaller and faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. More importantly, human pilots were trained differently. "Look at them fly," Dr. Williams said with quiet pride. "No alien species trains their pilots the way we do." The fighters were formed into attack formation and buzzed the Shrik's fleet. Not close enough to be threatening, but close enough to be clearly seen. Then they returned to the Dakota as quickly as they had launched. "Now for the main event," Mitchell said. "Turner, single railgun shot. Target that large asteroid at maximum range." "Sir, that asteroid is 12,000 kilometers away." "Perfect." Turner programmed the shot carefully. The Dakota's main railgun was a massive weapon designed to punch through the heaviest armor. It fired a solid metal slug at a significant fraction of light speed. The aliens watching had no idea what was coming. They saw a brief flash of light from the human ship. A few seconds later, the distant asteroid simply ceased to exist. No explosion. No debris field. Just gone. What was that? Keth Prime demanded. Unknown weapon type, his science officer reported. The projectile was traveling at approximately 15% of light speed. "How is that possible?" "I do not know, Admiral. Our weapons cannot achieve such velocities." On Kepler Station, the mood was changing rapidly. Aliens who had been curious were now worried. Aliens who had been worried were now scared. "Perhaps," Quellick said to Thex 9, "we should encourage the Shrik's to be more reasonable about this prisoner exchange." Thex 9's scales had faded to a dull brown. "Perhaps we should." But Mitchell was not finished. He opened a communication channel to all ships in the system. "This is Captain Mitchell of the UES Dakota. What you have just witnessed was a basic combat readiness exercise. We wanted everyone to understand exactly what kind of ship you are dealing with." He paused for effect. "The Dakota is not our most powerful warship. She is not our newest design. She is not equipped with our most advanced weapons. She is what we consider a standard multi-role cruiser." Another pause. "The other ships in our task force have similar capabilities. The Liberty carries 200 fighters and enough Marines to conquer a small planet. The Montana and Nevada each mount weapons that make our railgun demonstration look like a child's toy." In the Shrik's fleet, Admiral Keth Prime was having a heated discussion with his staff. "How many ships do the humans have?" he asked. "Unknown, Admiral. This is the first human military force we have encountered." "And their technology level?" "Far more advanced than our intelligence report suggested." Keth Prime studied the tactical display. 4 human ships against 17 Shrik's vessels. The numbers favored him, but numbers were not everything, especially when the enemy had weapons you did not understand. Mitchell continued his broadcast. "I want to be very clear about something. We did not come here looking for a fight. We came here to rescue our people. That is still our primary objective." He looked directly into the camera. "But if anyone tries to stop us, you will discover why humanity has never lost a major war. We do not fight for glory or honor or territory. We fight to protect our families. And there is nothing in this galaxy more dangerous than humans protecting their families." The communication ended. Space returned to its normal quiet. Dr. Williams walked over to Mitchell's chair. "Captain, that was quite a speech. Think it will work?" "The Commerce Council is already sending messages to the Shrik's, urging negotiation. Station traffic is requesting permission to leave the system. Even some of the Shriek's escort ships are falling back to longer range. Mitchell nodded, and Admiral Keth Prime, still holding position, still demanding we withdraw. Then he is either very brave or very stupid. Turner looked up from his console. Captain, we are receiving a new transmission, not from the Shrieks or the station. Ooh, long-range communication from Earth. Admiral Brooks. Mitchell's expression changed. Admiral Lisa Brooks was a superior officer and one of the finest military minds humanity had ever produced. If she was calling personally, something important was happening. Put her through private channel. The screen flickered and Admiral Brooks appeared. She was a small woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. She looked tired. Jake, what is your situation? 4 ships, 17 enemy vessels, 800 prisoners to recover. Standard Tuesday afternoon. Brooks did not smile at his joke. Jake, I need you to understand something. Every major power in the galaxy is watching the situation. What you do in the next few hours will determine how aliens treat humans for the next century. I understand, Admiral. Do you? Because if you win too easily, they will fear us. If you struggle too much, they will think we are weak. And if you lose, we will not lose. No, you will not, because help is coming. Task Force 12 is 2 days behind you. Admiral Chen has orders to glass that entire system if necessary. Mitchell felt a cold chill. Task Force 12 carried enough firepower to sterilize planets. Admiral, that seems excessive. The President disagrees. We will not allow human citizens to be enslaved by alien empires. Whatever it takes, Jake. Whatever it takes. The communication ended, leaving Mitchell alone with his thoughts. In 2 days, this small conflict could become a war that would change the galaxy forever. He looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Good people, dedicated people, people who had families back on Earth. Status report, he said quietly. 2 hours until deadline, Turner reported. Any change in Shriek's position? None, sir. Mitchell nodded and settled back in his chair. 2 hours. Then they would learn what the Shrieks were really made of. 1 hour before the deadline, the Galactic Commerce Council made their move. A gold-plated diplomatic shuttle launched from Kepler Station and approached the Dakota. The pilot requested permission to come aboard. Captain Mitchell sat in his ready room across from 3 alien diplomats. They were nervous, which was smart. They should be nervous. Captain Mitchell began the lead diplomat, a tall insectoid creature with too many arms. I am Ambassador Rex for the Commerce Council. We have come to offer a peaceful solution to this crisis. I am listening. The Council is prepared to purchase the freedom of your people from the Shrieks. We will pay whatever compensation they require. Mitchell leaned back in his chair. How much? Initial estimates suggest 50,000 credits per prisoner. Perhaps more for the children. 50,000. Mitchell did quick math in his head. For 847 people, that would be over 40 million credits. A significant sum, yes, but surely worth avoiding a war. And how long would these negotiations take? The second diplomat, a furry creature that looked like an oversized hamster, spoke up. Standard purchase agreements typically require 6 to 8 weeks for processing. 6 to 8 weeks. Perhaps we could expedite the process, the third diplomat added hopefully. Maybe 4 weeks if all parties are cooperative. Mitchell was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke in the same calm voice he always used. Gentlemen, let me explain something about humans. We do not buy our people back from kidnappers. Ever. But Captain, Ambassador Rex for protested, this is a legal matter now. The Shrieks have claimed jurisdiction. The Shrieks can claim whatever they want. It does not make it true. Please be reasonable, the hamster-like alien pleaded. Your people are safe. The Shrieks assure us they are being treated well. Are they? Mitchell activated a screen on his desk. Dr. Williams, please show our guest the latest intelligence from the surface. Kate Williams appeared on the screen. Behind her was a detailed analysis of the prison camps. Ambassador, she said, our scans show the human prisoners are working 16-hour shifts in dangerous mining conditions. Food rations are below minimum nutritional requirements. Medical care is limited to basic first aid. The children? Separated from their parents and placed in what the Strix call education centers. They are being taught that their human heritage is inferior and that they should be grateful to serve the Strix Empire. The three diplomats exchange worried glances. Furthermore, Williams continued, our communications intercepts suggest that the Strix plan to relocate all prisoners to their home system within the next month. Once that happens, recovery would be nearly impossible. Why did you not tell us this? Rex, for demanded. You did not ask, Williams replied simply. Mitchell turned off the screen. Gentlemen, I appreciate your offer, but here is my counterproposal. You go back to your station. You tell everyone to move to a safe distance, and you let us handle this our way. Captain, please reconsider. War benefits no one. Who said anything about war? Mitchell stood up. This is a rescue operation. The diplomats left looking confused and frightened. Mitchell did not blame them. In their world, everything was negotiated. Everything had a price. The idea of direct action was foreign to them. Back on the bridge, Turner was monitoring Strix fleet movements. Captain, they're spreading out. Looks like they expect us to make a run for planet. Smart of them. Mitchell took his seat. What about their communications? Standard military chatter, mostly, but their fighters are staying close to the main fleet. They are not moving to intercept our approach routes. Dr. Williams looked puzzled. That is strange. If they expect an attack on the planet, they should be positioning to stop us. Unless they have another plan, Turner suggested. The answer came 30 minutes before the deadline. The Strix fleet began moving toward the human task force. Not fast, but steady and determined. All ships. Came Admiral Keth Prime's voice over the communication channel. This is your final warning. Withdraw from Strix space immediately or be destroyed. Mitchell activated his own fleet communication. Montana, Nevada, Liberty. This is Dakota. Report status. Montana ready, came Captain Rodriguez's calm voice. All weapons powered. Fighters on standby. Nevada standing by, reported Captain Santos. Marines are loaded and ready for deployment. Liberty confirms readiness, Captain Parker added. All fighters launched and in formation. Mitchell looked at the tactical display. The Strix outnumbered them 4-1. But numbers were not everything. Admiral Keth Prime, Mitchell broadcast. This is your final opportunity. Release our people now, and this ends peacefully. Never, came the angry reply. The Strix bow to no one. Then you have chosen poorly. The battle began not with dramatic explosions, but with something much more frightening. Silence. The human ships moved forward in perfect formation. No unnecessary chatter. No shouted orders. Just quiet professionals doing their jobs. The Strix opened fire first. Bright energy beams lanced out across space, striking human shields and armor. The weapons were powerful, designed to crack open heavy warships. They had no effect. Fascinating, Dr. Williams observed from her station. Their energy weapons are being absorbed by our defensive systems. How is that possible? Admiral Keth Prime demanded over the open channel. Turner answered without emotion. Adaptive armor, Admiral. It learns from each hit and adjusts accordingly. The human fighters struck next. 200 small craft moving like a school of fish, impossible to target effectively. They swept through the Strix formation, hitting critical systems with surgical precision. They are not trying to destroy our ships, the Strix tactical officer reported in confusion. They are disabling them. Weapons down on the flagship, another officer called out. Engines offline on 3 escorts. Keth Prime watched in growing horror as his fleet was systematically taken apart. The humans were not fighting like any enemy he had ever faced. No brutal charges. No desperate last stands. Just methodical, efficient destruction of his ability to fight back. Sir, his communications officer said quietly, perhaps we should consider their offer. Never. Keth Prime slammed his fist on his chair. Signal the reserves. All ships ramming speed. If we cannot defeat them with weapons, we will crush them with our hulls. It was the worst mistake he could have made. The human ships did not retreat. They did not scatter. They simply opened fire with their main guns. The first Strix cruiser died in a flash of light as a railgun slug punched completely through it. The second tried to change course, but was caught by a beam weapon that cut it in half. Within 5 minutes, the Strix fleet was gone. Not retreating, not regrouping. Gone. Admiral Keth Prime found himself alone in a damaged command pod. His flagship destroyed around him. His fleet was scattered wreckage. His career was over. "Admiral," came Captain Mitchell's voice, "are you ready to discuss terms?" Keth Prime looked at the human ships floating nearby. They had not even been damaged, his entire fleet, and they had not taken a single hit. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. "The same thing I have wanted from the beginning. Our people, all of them, healthy and unharmed. And if I refuse?" Mitchell's voice remained calm. "Then we go to the surface and get them ourselves. But Admiral, I should mention something. You have been fighting Task Force 7, our light reconnaissance group." "Light reconnaissance?" "Task Force 12 arrives in 36 hours. Admiral Chin has different orders than I do." "What orders?" "To make sure this never happens again. To any humans. Anywhere." Keth Prime closed his eyes. He had heard stories about human military doctrine from the outer colonies. They did not take prisoners in wars of extinction. They did not negotiate with species that enslaved their children. "How do I know you will not attack our homeworlds?" "Because we are not conquerors, Admiral. We just want to be left alone. But if you threaten our people again, if any species threatens our people, you will discover that humanity can be far less reasonable than we have been today." The channel was quiet for a long time. "I will give the orders," Keth Prime finally said. "Your people will be released." "All of them?" "Yes, all of them." Mitchell nodded to Turner, who began coordinating with the other ships. The rescue was about to begin. "Admiral," Mitchell said, "you fought bravely today. Your people should be proud. We lost everything. You lost a battle. But you learned something important. Humans are not your enemies unless you make us your enemies. Remember that when you report to your superiors." The communication ended. Around the human task force, alien rescue ships began moving toward Kepler 442c. By tomorrow, the prisoners would be free, but the galaxy would never be the same. The rescue began at dawn on Kepler 442c. Lieutenant Colonel Nick Thompson stood in the cargo bay of his assault transport, watching his Marines check their equipment one final time. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were specialists trained for exactly this kind of mission. "Listen up," Thompson said to his team. "Intelligence reports 3 prison facilities. Adults in the mining camps, children and elderly in the education centers. Our job is simple: get everyone out safe." Sergeant Kelly Murphy, his second in command, raised her hand. "What about strict resistance, Colonel?" "Minimal expected. Most of their guards fled when their fleet was destroyed. But stay alert. Desperate people do stupid things." The transport shook slightly as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Through the small windows, Thompson could see the barren landscape below. Red dirt, rocky mountains, and the dark scars of strip mining operations. 2 minutes to landing zone Alpha, came the pilot's voice. Thompson activated his communicator. "Dakota Control, this is Rescue 1. Beginning surface operations." "Acknowledge, Rescue 1," came Captain Mitchell's voice. "You have full support from orbit. Bring our people home." The first facility was supposed to be the easiest. A minimum security work camp holding 200 adult miners. The transport touched down outside the main gate, and Thompson's Marines moved out in practice formation. The camp was quiet. Too quiet. "Where is everyone?" Murphy whispered as they approached the fence. They found their answer in the main administration building. A lone Strix guard sat behind a desk, looking terrified. When the Marines entered, he immediately raised all 4 of his arms in surrender. "Where are the prisoners?" Thompson demanded. The guard pointed toward the back of the camp with a shaking hand. "Underground. in the deep mines. They were moved yesterday when your ships arrived. Thompson felt his stomach sink. Underground meant tunnels. Tunnels meant potential cave-ins. And cave-ins meant casualties. How deep? 5 levels. Maybe 6. The lift system is damaged. Murphy was already on her radio. Dakota, this is Rescue 1. We need mining equipment and structural engineers. The prisoners are underground in unstable tunnels. The second facility was worse. Thompson's team found the education center empty except for a few alien staff members. When questioned, they revealed that the children had been moved to a secure location deeper in the mountains. Where? Thompson asked the facility director, a nervous creature that looked like a walking plant. I do not know, the alien replied. Orders came from Admiral Keth Prime personally. The children were taken by military transport. Thompson's radio crackled. Colonel, this is Lieutenant Scott with the air search team. We found something. Large facility built into the mountainside, about 50 kilometers north of your position. Defended? Looks like it. Several weapon emplacements, ground vehicles, maybe a company of troops. Thompson made his decision. Murphy, take half the team and continue with the mining rescue. I am taking the rest to get the children. The mountain facility was a fortress carved into solid rock. As Thompson's transport approached, they could see Shriek soldiers moving around defensive positions. These were not camp guards. These were real military troops. Rescue 2, this is Dakota, came Captain Mitchell's voice. We are tracking your approach. Be advised, we have weapons locked on all enemy positions. Roger, Dakota, but be careful with the orbital fire. The children are somewhere in that facility. Understood. Surgical strikes only. Thompson's transport set down behind a rocky ridge, out of sight of the fortress. His Marines moved out quickly, using the rough terrain for cover. They had trained for this kind of assault, but it never got easier when civilians were involved. The attack began with precision strikes from orbit. Human weapons reached down from space to eliminate the Shriek's gun positions. The strikes were so accurate that they destroyed the weapons without damaging the surrounding buildings. Then Thompson's Marines moved in. The Shrieks fought better than expected. They knew they were facing professional human soldiers, and they were scared. Scared enemies sometimes fought harder than brave ones. Contact front, came Murphy's voice over radio. She had stayed with the mining rescue. We have found the first group of prisoners. They're alive but in bad condition. How bad? Thompson asked while his team cleared another defensive position. Malnutrition, exhaustion, some injuries. But they can walk. Dr. Williams is coordinating medical support from the Liberty. Thompson's team reached the main entrance of the mountain fortress. The heavy doors were sealed, but human technology made short work of alien security systems. They were inside within minutes. The interior was a maze of corridors and rooms. Thompson split his Marines into teams, each searching a different section. Time was critical. The longer they stayed, the more chance something could go wrong. Colonel, came Corporal Davis's voice. Found them. Level 3, Section C. All the children are here. Thompson ran through the corridors toward Section C. What he found there made him angry in ways he had not felt since his own children were young. 112 human children sat in rows, staring at alien propaganda videos. They ranged in age from toddlers to teenagers. All were thin and pale. All looked frightened. It is okay, Thompson said in the gentlest voice he could manage. We are here to take you home. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, looked up at him with wide eyes. Are you really human soldiers? Yes, sweetie, we are really human soldiers. The Shrieks said no one would come for us. Thompson knelt down to her level. Well, the Shrieks were wrong. Your family sent us to bring you home. The evacuation took 2 hours. The children had to be carried to the transports. Many were too weak to walk far. The adults from the mining camps were in even worse condition. Dr. Kate Williams worked alongside medical teams from all 4 ships. She moved between patients, checking conditions and coordinating treatment. This was not the diplomatic work she was trained for, but she did it anyway. Captain, she reported to Mitchell, We have all the prisoners. Medical condition ranges from fair to serious, but everyone is alive. Casualties among our people? 3 Marines with minor injuries. No serious wounds. Mitchell felt relief wash over him. Outstanding work, Doctor. How long until everyone is stable for transport? Give us another hour. The children need more care than the adults. While the medical teams worked, Captain Parker organized temporary housing aboard the Liberty. The massive carrier had enough space for all the rescued prisoners plus medical facilities. As the last transport lifted off from Kepler, for 42C, Thompson sat beside the little girl who had spoken to him earlier. She was sleeping now, finally safe. "Colonel," came Captain Mitchell's voice over the intercom. "Outstanding work down there. All personnel performed admirably." "Thank you, sir. Just doing our job." That job saved 847 lives today. Back in space, Admiral Keth Prime watched the human rescue operation with something approaching respect. He had expected brutality. Instead, he had seen precision and care, even toward his own wounded soldiers. "Admiral," his surviving communications officer said, "the humans are requesting a meeting." "What do they want now?" "They wish to return our wounded personnel." Keth Prime was confused. "Return them?" "Yes, sir," along with full medical records and treatment recommendations. The meeting took place on a neutral Commerce Council station. Captain Mitchell sat across from Admiral Keth Prime in a simple conference room. "Your people will make full recoveries," Mitchell said, sliding a data pad across the table. "Our doctors took good care of them." Keth Prime looked at the medical reports. His soldiers had received better treatment from their enemies than they would have gotten from their own military hospitals. "Why?" he asked simply. "Because they were wounded in battle. Because they were following orders. Because they are someone's family. You could have let them die. We could have, but that is not who we are." Keth Prime studied the human captain. "What happens now? Now you go home. You tell your superiors what happened here. You make sure it never happens again. And if other species threaten your people," Mitchell's expression did not change, "then they will learn what you learned. Humans take care of their own." The formal end of the crisis came 3 days later. The Commerce Council issued new regulations about prisoner transfers. The Strix Empire quietly changed their policies regarding alien workers. Other species began requesting defense agreement with Earth. Captain Mitchell stood on his bridge, watching Kepler Station grow smaller on the main screen. His task force was heading home, their mission complete. "Captain," Dr. Williams said, "I have the final medical reports. All prisoners are in stable condition. The children are responding well to treatment. Any permanent damage? Some malnutrition effects that will take months to heal. Psychological trauma that will require counseling, but they will recover." Mitchell nodded. "And the political situation?" "Interesting. The Galactic Council is requesting formal diplomatic relations with Earth. Several smaller species are asking for protection agreements. The Strix have withdrawn from 3 disputed systems. All because we rescued our people. All because we showed them what humanity is capable of when protecting our families." Turner looked up from his console. "Captain, we are receiving a message from Earth. Priority 1 from the President." Mitchell took the communication in his ready room. President Carter appeared on his screen, looking tired but pleased. "Captain Mitchell, I want to personally thank you and your crew. You accomplished a mission without starting a war. We got lucky, sir." "Luck had nothing to do with it. You showed the galaxy that humanity stands by its principles, that we protect our own. And you did it without becoming the monsters they expected us to be. What happens next, Mr. President?" "Next, we prepare, because this will happen again. Other species will test us. Other humans will need rescue. And when they do, they will know that help is coming." The communication ended, leaving Mitchell alone with his thoughts. Through his window, he could see the other ships of Task Force 7, good ships with good crews. Somewhere behind them, 847 human beings were going home. Children would see their parents again. Families would be reunited. It was a good day's work. The galaxy was a dangerous place, full of species that saw humans as weak or naive or easy targets. Today, a few of them had learned differently. Tomorrow, the word would spread. Humans never ask for permission when their people are threatened. They simply act. And there is nothing in the galaxy more dangerous than humans protecting their families. The Dakota turned toward home, carrying that message with them into the stars.